Everyone wants to have good aim, hit shots, and carry games with confidence. So if you're a bit like me, you've probably looked at players like TenZ, Ye, and Scream and thought, wow, I want to do that. Maybe you even looked up on YouTube Valorant aim tutorial. And if you did, you were presented with tens if not hundreds of different videos all advertising the perfect aim settings, routines, and warm-ups. The problem here is that your clicks are highly valuable, and advertising these secrets is thus a great way to get some easy YouTube views. Sadly, these aiming secrets are sometimes not actually that helpful at all. Some of them legit do nothing, and others can actively hurt the way you aim. That's why in today's video, we'll be going over the 3 types of aiming lies you're always told, and telling you the truth about each of these topics so that you won't be fooled or accidentally get misinformed. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Starting with settings, since if I were to believe some of these videos out there, those would 100% fix any whiffs I might experience otherwise. I think for settings, definitely the most common advice you'll get is disabling mouse acceleration in your Windows settings. Just type in main.cpl, go into pointer options, and disable enhanced pointer precision. That's it. You're now the GOAT of Valorant. You'll have godlike aim and win every match. Well, except for maybe one thing. This setting doesn't actually do anything, at least not for Valorant. The promised lands of raw input and Valorant taking your mouse inputs directly from the mouse instead of Windows are actually enabled by default. While the idea of disabling enhanced pointer precision is probably a good idea if you play other games, it doesn't actually make a difference at all within Valorant. So if you see anyone giving out great aiming advice and enabling raw input, now you'll know that they're truly on to nothing. Next up in settings that'll instantly put you in the tens but better department, we have something called angle snapping. Angle snapping is a setting that basically pulls your mouse in either the X or Y axis. This at first thought might seem quite good because easy to keep my crosshair at head level. My flicks will definitely be straight. But in this hard-hitting thing that we call reality when maps are more advanced than a Minecraft flat world, and having to make sideways adjustments is actually quite regular. I think this video by Struth Gaming really explains it quite well, but the point is that the situations where angle snapping might theoretically help are really rare. And even then it will probably not make any meaningful difference at all. But the situations where it actively hurts arises much more commonly, and it should really be avoided at all costs. I know that changing something like this might feel like a big help, especially if you just briefly try it. But what you're experiencing is 100% placebo, and in the long run it's going to sabotage the way you aim.
Have you ever asked yourself after a bad game, what am I missing? Or sought help from impatient friends? Or browsed desperately for answers that only bring up more questions? Your self-doubting days are over with Discovery, the first game-focused AI. Discovery is trained on the world's leading esports athletes to be your everyday personal coach. That's right, Discovery can help you improve your gameplay by giving you tips and strategies to take your game to the next level. Get started at ProGuides.com.
I think another big setting we should probably mention here is the beta raw input buffer setting in game. First of all, we want to clarify, this setting is different from raw input itself, which is to take mouse inputs directly from the mouse instead of Windows. Like we mentioned before, that's always the case in Valorant, and you don't need to worry about enabling it for that reason. That being said though, this setting is not entirely pointless. What it does is it uses a different raw input type API that's more suited for the new generations of 4 and 8K Hz polling rate mice. So what does that mean? Well, basically you need to have this setting on if you have an 8K mouse, because then it'll really make a big difference. However, even for the vast majority of you, who I'll presume has a much more common 1K Hz mouse, it can still slightly benefit you according to Riot, though you shouldn't really be able to tell any difference. So yeah, while this setting won't instantly make you God's gift to gaming, it's also not going to actively harm you like it is the case with angle snapping. Finally, one more thing about settings. The reality is that for aiming, settings don't really matter. Nothing is going to magically make you better. And if anyone tries to sell that to you, they're just trying to use you for views, clicks, or money, so don't fall for it. But also, don't overthink settings too much. It's commonly said that changing your sensitivity, for example, will completely ruin your muscle memory, deteriorate your progress, or I don't know, even blow up your PC. That's not the case. We see many top players like TenZ changing sensitivity only to hit nasty shots and dirty flicks anyway. It's kind of impressive if you truly believe he just entirely ruined his muscle memory. The thing about sensitivity is that you should just use what's comfortable, and what's comfortable can change over time. There's top aimers regularly changing sens, and changing settings is not going to make or break you as an aimer. That being said though, we still don't recommend changing your settings all too commonly. Why is that? Well, not because of muscle memory, but more because it's really just pointless to focus on it. If you feel like your aim is off, you should be thinking about how to practice it, how to deal with having a bad aim day, or what kinds of real-life events might be affecting your aim behind the scenes. It's much more productive to think about, have I been doing my aim labs routine recently? Am I doing good emotionally? Should I maybe take a break? Or, what kind of play can I still go for even if I'm not fully reliant on my aim right now? Then you can simply go, aha, not 0.4, but 0.37. This is going to change my world. There's a lot of factors that'll affect you, and laying focus on settings is almost always wrong. Alright, that's it for settings. But don't worry, there's also a lot of crazy secrets we want to add. Some nuance to when it comes to training, or just some general gameplay tweaks. One of the most notable examples of this has got to be the Miyagi method to practice your aim. Maybe you've heard of it, but basically the idea is just to hop into deathmatch games and track your opponents while strafing but not firing. The idea is that you learn how to make yourself hard to hit, and learning how to track targets, be clean with your aim, and never miss shots. That of course sounds amazing, however it just doesn't really work. As with any secret aim improvement method, they're really nothing more than good marketing. And the Miyagi method is not going to magically make you an aiming machine. Sure, doing a Miyagi deathmatch every now and then could be a cool addition to incorporate some more movement into your existing aim routine. But to make it an important part, or even to just fully replace actual training with it, just doesn't really make sense to do. I think another type of advice that's similar to this and gets thrown out there a lot is saying, hey, you're just firing too soon, and all you need to do is be mindful and really slow down your shots. This is often showcased by a guy whiffing after he underflicked an adjustment, and then is supposed to be some kind of evidence that if you only pulled the trigger a second later, then you would have made the shot. I think it's important to note here that unless you're actually trying to shoot as fast as possible, as opposed to shooting your enemy as fast as possible, your whiffing or shooting too early is really just not having perfect aim, which is human. Of course, the goal should never be to just shoot first by any means necessary. But if you're trying to quickly headshot your opponent but just miss every now and then, or even quite often, well, there's nothing really wrong with that. And you probably just need some more training, rather than to rethink your aiming theory from the ground up. Just to give you an example, if you were to hop into a deathmatch with a sheriff right now, and you're allowed to take as much time as you want for each shot, well, that's still not going to mean you're actually going to be 100% accurate. So the solution here is to not take much more time, but to practice more and train your aim. This kind of try to slow down and make sure you hit your shots 100% of the time mentality becomes especially harmful when you do it in your ranked game rather than an unrated or deathmatch. A great quote by an ex-Valorant and CSGO pro Android is that when you're thinking about your aim, you're already overthinking. And overthinking in game is not only going to make you more anxious, but is also going to harm your performance and just make you enjoy the game less. When you're gaming, try not to think about your aim too much. And if you really can't help it, try to focus on your crosshair placement in particular. Like, how wide is my opponent going to peek me here? Should I be holding for a wide or close peek? Should I maybe even expect a jump peek? Get ready for those kind of things. The really unfortunate truth is that there is no secret aim training or in-game aiming technique that's going to transform your aim overnight. There's no secret sauce that the pros are all keeping from you, or any great conspiracies to keep high potential players out of Radiant. The raw, real truth about aim training is that, like with many types of training in life, it will be boring, time-consuming, and for a lot of people just plain unfun. If you really want to get better, you need to consistently take time to actively spend working on different Valorant mechanics. Spend time in deathmatch working on your movement and gunplay, and hit the range and aim lab to work on your aiming techniques. That's how you get better. There's really no secret. If you want to get an objective measure of your aim, you can even consider doing something like Voltaic aiming benchmarks, or even try their newly released Voltaic daily improvement method. Sounds flashy and marketable just like the Miyagi thing, but really it's just unique playlists to work on different parts of your aim. That way you can rotate and practice an alternative aiming type each day. As we're writing this video, it's still a work in progress. But at the very least, the static clicking routines are available, which are arguably the most important type of aim for a game like Valorant anyway. Now onto the third kind of lie you're always told about aim, that being that it's all in the warm-up. I want to preface this section by saying that there is no perfect warm-up routine. So if you see a video title saying exactly that, you'll already know that it's not actually true. The thing about warm-ups, and the reason that there is no perfect thing you gotta do, is that the warm-up is largely a mental thing. In conventional sports, a big reason for warm-ups is to get your blood flowing through your muscles and ultimately to avoid injury. That being said, even if you hit a hospital flick, you won't actually be ending up there, no matter if you skip the warm-up or not. Since you won't be twisting your muscles, you also don't really have to worry about warming up, at least not physically. So your warm-up should be completely focused on you getting your game face on and feeling ready for ranked, scrims, or whatever you plan on playing. For me, my ritual is just to play a single deathmatch game, but for others, warm-up entails a 30-minute aim lab playlist, or shooting some bots in the range. It's really all up to you. The next thing is that even if you find the perfect warm-up for you, no warm-up is going to make you perfect. People, and that includes you, are inevitably going to be inconsistent. Some days you're going to wake up feeling like 10s, and other days maybe you'll feel like your Iron Friend, and that's okay. That happens to everyone. And as long as your warm-up routine makes you feel game ready and gets you mentally prepared for the game, that's not to blame. There's even some old pros like CSGO's Flusha who never warmed up. And I myself have had periods where I felt like I didn't need to warm up. That's fine too. You shouldn't expect your warm-up to make you feel like a 100% consistent demon, because you won't be, and no one is. A warm-up is just there to get you mentally ready, and that's all it really is. So rather than focusing your attention on finding a warm-up that's going to make you perfect, why not try to work on how to adapt your play when you feel like you're having a worse day aim-wise? That's something you can even consider watching our guide on how to truly be consistent in Valorant for. The link will be down in the description. And that's going to wrap it up. Let me know if you feel like we missed anything. And if you have any questions left, make sure to comment them down below. We'd love to see you in the next one, so don't forget to subscribe.